something, yeah, 2:07-ish, something.
Tuesday afternoon, so we're going to call it afternoon.
There you go.
Hello, everybody. Crystal Holland here with Justin Bradford from the First Alert Weather Team, and our First Alert Weather Day is now gone.
Yeah.
Officially, but we're keeping our eye on some other issues now.
Yeah, now it's more just nuisance. It's pesky. It's not as impactful as we had this morning. Now, I know some places in mid-Michigan got lucky early, saw a little bit more of slush than they did freezing drizzle, but we all dealt with some issues that impacted the morning commute. Roads were definitely slower today all across mid-Michigan. This was never going to be, as we've been saying, a big ice storm or anything of that nature, but was causing impacts. We had lots of slide-offs. We had a school bus that went off the road.
Yep.
We had a whole bunch of issues on area roadways, and there were a lot of closures as a result. So even if things don't necessarily, just by the glance of the eye outside, look like they're terrible, when you got out on the roads today, it wasn't a very fun time. And so fortunately, we're getting back into slightly warmer air. But now we're going to turn our attention towards that mild air causing lower visibility next few days because we're going to have some snow melting take place, and it's also going to be changing in a lot of different ways. Visibility will be reduced. Sublimation is one of our terms that we like to use, and that's the fun one, but that's when you have within the water cycle the snow. It's the same process that is evaporation when it's a liquid, which you have to melt into a liquid and then evaporate to go back to the water vapor. But the process in the water cycle to go straight from a solid snow or ice into water vapor is known as sublimation. And so that's kind of just the name for the process. I've been having a lot of fun with that around here over the past couple of days. And so that's what we'll see. So foggy conditions at times will kind of take over from time to time. And it could be locally dense in a few spots, but we're not expecting it to be, at least right now, a really major issue. You'll just notice that it'll be kind of some really damp air over the next several days.
All right. Yeah, I know normally we can see a little bit past the highway there in Delta Township. So
yeah, and the Farm Bureau Insurance Cam out there on our Meridian Company SkyCam network has got the lower visibility already. Part of that is because we've still got some drizzle outside. Part of it is because we're starting to see that snow lift. And I think all this snowpack over these next couple days is really going to start to deteriorate and kind of fade away. Our temperatures are just above freezing, feeling a little cooler, but the breeze isn't that strong. You're just noticing it's a lot more damp outside, at least how it feels. And that has to do with a lot of the fact we've got a lot of water vapor in the air, whether it's falling from the sky or lifting from whatever surfaces are out there. And so satellite and radar right now, you can see a lot of us have made the switch into mainly a drizzle or a light rain, with the mixing still taking place in places north of the state. And we're also seeing a little line of maybe some quieter conditions from near and south of I-94, where we're beginning to see just some cloud cover and not much more going on. Now, we'll still have some reduced visibility, but starting to see some of that wrap up is good news for us as we go throughout these next couple of days.
I see a couple of flashes of yellow just south of Lansing there, too. Am I wrong?
Yeah, we might have a few areas where it's a slightly heavier rain in some spots, but for the most part, it's fairly light across mid-Michigan. In fact, we can kind of see on a wider view that, again, this is all part of this large system that's moving in through the Great Lakes. And on the backside, there's still a little bit more moisture left over, and with a southwest wind continuing, that'll continue to be drawn in from the southern plains, and eventually we'll see this wrap around in the form of rain showers throughout the rest of this week here moving forward. And that's kind of what we have going on across mid-Michigan over the next couple of days, more of a showery pattern. Now, you notice current conditions here. Most of us seeing the returns come down as rain at this point, with lots of 34s from Mason through Charlotte and Jackson, as well as Coldwater. But you notice that the current conditions right now show that Hillsdale and Coldwater are just underneath clouds as opposed to any precipitation. And so some of us are going to see a little dry period here heading closer towards our evening and overnight, although again, still possible to see a bit of drizzle and maybe some fog in mid-Michigan. But there have been the slippery roads. They've continued in spots into this early afternoon with our wintry mix. Untreated roads are still a bit slippery out there. We've still got some slush in the untreated spots. The good news is that the salt and other products are very effective with these temperatures because they're at or even just above freezing. And so you throw any of it down on the ground and you're pretty good to go for the most part. And so that's sort of what we have working in our favor. The winter weather alerts that go until 4 p.m., you can see that those have been lifted virtually for all of our counties. If you are watching us, especially from portions of southwest Shiawassee County, you're still in the advisory, but that'll be expiring at 4 p.m. anyways in the next 2 hours or so here. And it may expire sooner as we start to see the rest of the wintry mix sort of die down. And so the hour-by-hour look at our forecast heading into our evening, going to show you still, again, off to the north, maybe a little bit of the snow mixing in. But here's a relatively quiet evening and overnight. But by tomorrow morning, you notice here the next part of our system comes racing in, and this will be just as kind of a light to moderate rain. We're not expecting anything really heavy tomorrow, but it'll be fairly constant and a little bit steady heading throughout our forecast until we get towards the evening as it dies down. But even though you see temperatures staying near or above freezing and the drier conditions Wednesday evening, we're again still going to deal with a few areas of patchy fog during this time frame as well. And on Thursday, it's the same thing. Starting the day, it looks like we'll be dry in our skies, but we'll still have some of the reduced visibility due to that fog. And then heading into the late Thursday time frame, you see here some more rain comes through, and that'll carry us out into maybe early Friday. But then we're going to dry out, headed towards the weekend, and the trend looks a lot more fun for us moving forward for the folks who have not enjoyed what we've been seeing as of late. So above average temperatures, I'm going to go ahead and say they're a lock at this point. I mean, heading into the very end of the month and start of February especially, the first several days of the new month going to be much above average, and we'll see that in the 10-day forecast here. So again, still dealing with the rain showers from now through really maybe even early Friday. We've got it just at 20% because I think Friday's a mainly dry day, but we might still see a little pocket of drizzle here or there. Saturday, clouds are going to dominate the skies again, so something you'll notice even out into Sunday with a few flurries early, which are not going to stick at this point, by the way. It's looking like we're going to erode a lot of the snowpack with even overnight lows for the rest of the week staying above the freezing mark and even out into the weekend as well. But we're not going to see a lot of the sunshine to help do that. It's going to be a mainly cloudy, gloomy, foggy, rainy, misty next several days. And so a little tough from that standpoint to get through. And so take those vitamin D helpings that you can get and do all that.
Lamp out.
Yeah, do all that as best you can. The seasonal depression effects certainly will maybe be in full swing for some folks. But, here's the light at the end of the tunnel. Early next week, we've got, we'll call it relatively cooler air to the next few days. 36 Sunday, 35 Monday, 37 Tuesday. But then the numbers go back to the 40s. And 48 Thursday, that's the first day of February, by the way, on Thursday. So February is creeping into our calendar now. And I expect that with this trend, which I'll go back to here to show you, that we're expecting once again the above average temperatures. If this thing wants to listen to me, we'll try it again. There it is. Above average heading out. This is for the first week of February through the 6th of the month, and the general trend is above average. And anytime we're in this big bullseye, we always talk about how it's relative. So it doesn't mean we're going to be like 80 degrees or anything, but it does mean we're going to be much above the normal temperature for the time of year. And so once again, looking back at this 10-day, beyond the very end you see here, 48 Thursday, as we continue to watch this trend, that number could change a little bit, and if anything, I think it might go up as opposed to down. If we were to take this one day further out into Friday, I would have us in the 50s, and probably on that Saturday as well. And so if you're looking for one of those days that maybe gives you even an early taste of spring, because it is only still January, so we know it's not like we're done with winter yet or anything.
Not even close.
Even if we're going to a warmer trend, any of you who like even to get that little bit of a tease to early spring, you're going to enjoy next weekend to start February. This coming weekend, again, it's still a little gloomy, still cloudy, still above average, 35 to 40 degrees. But next weekend, the one after this coming one, we're going to be talking temperatures probably in the low to mid 50s across mid-Michigan. And so we'll see how the forecast evolves, but that's kind of our early look. And of course, it's still 10 to 12 days away, so you'll want to stay up to date with us throughout the time frame, as that likely will change a little bit. But we're fairly confident in seeing this warmer than normal trend. It's probably not going to be a below average day we have through the end of the month and through the first week of February either, at least. And so a bit of a mild trend moving forward. It'd be really tough to tack on any additional snow cover over the next 2 weeks at least.
I'll take it because I don't want to shovel.
Yeah, and that's good for folks. And so whatever snow you got out there right now, take a good look at it, because over the next few days it's going to be slowly kind of disappearing, and other than maybe the big piles that are out there,
like in the parking lots and on the ditches,
a lot of it in most people's yards or in front of your apartment complexes or anything else, you're going to notice that snow just vanish away. You'll see the grass again, you'll see the dirt again, whatever else is still there, you'll see. And so that's what we've got going forward. So the forecast is shaping out that way for us.
Can you go back a couple more, because Joshua has a question of,
Absolutely.
Is there another storm tonight? I don't know if you know.
Okay,
Rain, snow, ice storm.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. So we'll go back to the hour by hour. Once again, heading into this evening, we're going to start to see the system kind of move out of mid-Michigan.
Okay.
And so you see here, we're pretty dry into the overnight. I think we might end up having maybe a pocket of drizzle or two, but it's mainly going to be a chance to see some fog late. Just because we're going to have some of the snow, again, sublimating, melting, evaporating, whatever's going on. This is tomorrow at 9 a.m. And so for you, Joshua, watching us here, we're looking at a rain event that comes in tomorrow. This is not one that's going to bring us, really, it looks like any sort of mixing of snow or anything of that like. It's part of this same kind of warmer pattern coming in. So even if temperatures are only in the mid to upper 30s, it's not likely we see a lot of snowflakes mixing in with this. It's probably an event that's most of the day as rain, and then towards the end of the day it starts to die down and dwindle and dissipate as well. So thanks for the question. We appreciate you watching us. It's not looking like we really get another storm or anything to work in tonight. It's more just going to be a couple on and off rain chances over the next few days. Nothing major other than, maybe just keeping your umbrella close would be good to have. And hello to Chris as well from East Lansing. Thanks for watching us as always.
Yes. So and it is that time of year where we could have a rainstorm, a snowstorm, an ice storm.
Yeah, anything.
A hailstorm.
Anything. Yeah, we haven't really had much thunderstorm activity as of late, and I don't think we really see any thunderstorm activity this week either. But if we're pulling temperatures up and getting a little bit more energy from the southwest, maybe late towards next weekend, if there's a system that comes through, you never know. I'm certainly not putting that in the forecast 12 days out or anything like that, but if we are bringing temperatures up and we're getting a little more ability to hold more water vapor, hold more energy in the atmosphere, if we got a big system to come through when we're in the 50s, maybe we'd have a chance to see a couple thunderstorms. Of course, that can happen when it's in the 30s here. It could also happen when it snows here, too, because we have that happen on rare occasion. And thunder snow is a meteorologist's dream, one of our favorite phenomena, because it's so rare, but still so cool at the same time. To have lightning and thunder during a snowstorm is pretty cool. We don't have it happen a lot, but when we get really, really heavy snows with moisture-rich, energy-rich systems that come from the southwest, it sometimes does occur. None of that in our forecast, though. Right now, looking like rain from here on out. Unless you're north of M21 in St. John's, you might deal with a few mixing snowflakes both this evening and then again tomorrow, but nothing really that's going to stick out there from this point forward. We're going to be getting rid of the snow as opposed to adding any new snow over the next 10 to 14 days.
It sounds like Betty's already in that situation. She says mud, ice, and flooding in our yard right now.
Yeah, so Betty, I hear you. I think that's, I don't expect anything really big, really major. It's going to be slow enough with the melting where, if we were going to 60 degrees, you'd have like everything melting at once or whatever. This will have us, this temperature trend will have us melting slowly enough and the snow evaporating, sublimating, slow enough, getting up there, where we won't have any really big flooding issues. Of course, you'll have your little ponding areas and the low-lying areas and things like that, but there definitely will be some mud. There definitely will be a little bit of ice while that's all going down because as it melts, if it gets into a cold pocket, whatever does melt in the water might glaze over and freeze up a bit, even if the air temp is above freezing the next few days. If you get one of those low-lying little valleys, we call those just little microclimates because they tend to deviate a little bit from the mean, and so you might have a little bit of that as well, but this isn't anything that's going to ice roads. We're not looking at too many concerns for driving, anything like that, but certainly Betty in your yard dealing with a lot of that, hopefully nothing too bothersome for you.
And I know earlier today in our editorial meeting, you were asked about potholes with the thawing and the freezing and the up and down temperatures. Anything with that? And I think pipes too usually have. I think issues.
And it depends when you're coming in and out of freezing temperatures. But like I said, at the rate we're going, we're not doing like a really big cold snap or a really big warm thaw. It's kind of just easing us out of this, and so. When you have those really drastic, sharp temperature changes that really flip the pattern really fast, that's when you might see some of that and the expanding, all that happening really fast. But with this, it's like we're kind of going to above freezing, but keeping it between like 32 and 40 for like 4 or 5 days in a row here. So there aren't going to be any big swings either up or down in temperature. They're just getting above freezing. And so if anything, this is probably much better for us and better for a pothole situation as it would be to have the major swings. And so that's a good positive thing to look forward to out of this. Even if some people wouldn't mind if it was just 60 tomorrow. I know that would be probably appreciated by a lot of people, but that would cause some more quick change issues for our roads. So it'll be a slow climb to get back there. And again, it is only January, and so hopefully you're not setting your sights too far ahead past 50s for the first weekend of February, because things can change on a dime here, as we all know, in mid-Michigan. So
there's a dime right over there on the floor. I forgot to grab it earlier.
There you go. All right.
So as you're trying to keep track, maybe you're trying to make plans, and you're like, I don't know if it's going to get rained out or how the roads are going to be.
Yeah.
Do I need a raincoat? Do I need my winter coat? Don't forget you can download the First Alert Weather app, and it'll help you out.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time because it's really a great product and a great tool that we like to use. Anytime you're planning your day, or maybe you miss our newscast, or you're out and about, or you're traveling, whatever, and you're not able to see us traditionally like you normally would, First Alert Weather app's a great place to go to get that up-to-date forecast, not just for wherever you are in mid-Michigan, but anywhere that you may be traveling. We've got a lot of people who have used this all over the place, and so it's a really great tool that you can have, and something that you can always count on and rely on, because we update this with such frequency that you never go more than a couple hours without a new update coming in, a new video update that is. Now the forecast, anytime we make any change to it, it goes directly manually to our weather app. So those changes are being made by us, by your First Alert Weather team and meteorologists, and so you can trust that we've been crunching the numbers, looking at all the data, and making the forecast and hoping it to be the most accurate and best to our ability. We pride ourselves in it. We're happy to take feedback, comments, anything, but we really, I personally always use it myself, even when I'm off the clock, when I'm not working, because it's very reliable, it's very user-friendly, and it's got a lot of cool features that you can customize yourself, and really enjoyable product.
I did it this morning because we talked yesterday about this morning being a First Alert Weather day, and I was curious, now that I've moved and I'm driving different roads to work, how the roads were, and because my favorite part is the road conditions map.
Yeah,
I love that part.
Right, and it's really cool because it takes real-time data and uses that for the traffic, and you can overlay it with other products as well, and so you can get your forecast, you can get your road updates at the same time, and do all that. And once again, it's like the best things in life, absolutely free. And so that's good to have too. And so we don't charge you to use it, other than maybe a bit of your time just to take a peek at whatever's on there. But you can open it for 5 seconds or 5 hours, or if you're really obsessed with looking at the forecast, and then you'll see all the updates as they come in.
A couple more questions really quick. Darla wants to know if the back roads and sidewalks, their conditions are going to cause schools to close tomorrow.
That's a good question, Darla. I think we'll see much fewer closings tomorrow. I won't completely rule it because we don't make that call or anything, of course, but I'd be surprised if there are a lot of closings tomorrow. It sort of just depends locally where people are and if they're able to get to some of the roads that people take to get to schools. The temperatures, for the most part, are going to be above freezing everywhere through the overnight tonight, and so that will give any roads that haven't been gotten to yet, will probably be able to be treated tonight, even if it's just throwing down some salt onto the ice or whatever else. That'll help melt things away with temperatures near or above freezing. And so I'm not expecting any widespread road issues by tomorrow morning. I will be in for Chief Meteorologist Aaron Rockwell tomorrow morning's shows. He's getting a much-deserved day off, and so we'll be talking about that. If you happen to wake up with us between 4:30 and 7 tomorrow, we'll be discussing it as well. But I wouldn't bank on schools being closed tomorrow like they were today due to this, because the precipitation is really going to be wrapping up this evening here, and then it's just a little bit foggy overnight. And so I don't expect we'll have as many issues. Thank you for your question. I appreciate it. Yeah, I wouldn't plan on too much in the way of closings tomorrow. I think a lot more places will reopen their doors heading into our Wednesday.
All right. I know you've got a webinar to jump onto, and I do want to remind everybody, too, if you have questions about the school closings, you can always get the First Alert Weather app that has school closings on that as well. So as you're scrolling through, I believe you go all the way to the bottom. I'm going to open it up again right here. Yep, you go through, there's some closings and delays. Right underneath that, there is the page to enter to win a First Alert Weather umbrella. Anytime there is a First Alert Weather Day, you can click that. You'll be entered to win an umbrella from us. And at the very bottom, you can actually submit some photos and video whenever there's severe weather. So you can make sure that you've got that coming up. And I am joined now by, so you gotta use this thingy, that thingy, yeah. I know, it's weird, right?
Oh, that's strange.
I know, we haven't done that in a while.
No. All right, there we go.
There we go. Riley Connell from News 10, and we were just talking about road conditions.
Oh, yeah.
Over here, and you are actually diving into an issue with
yes, I am.
some roads today.
Yes, I am. If you've been on Facebook at all today, kind of checking things out, or watched our stream earlier as well too, then you know that we had a bus slide off this morning with a Lansing Schools bus. Actually, they're bused by Dean Transportation, but the picture that you're looking at right now is something that a parent caught outside their window on Tecumseh River Road. So you can see that bus kind of tilted partially into a little bit of a ditch there. So it did slip on some ice and kind of slide right into that ditch. So it's leaving parents with a lot of questions. Lansing was one of the few districts to stay open today. So parents are wondering what contributed to that decision, what led them to decide to stay open while other districts had closed, really drawing kind of a critical eye because of this slide off. A lot of parents saying, this is the reason that schools should have been closed today, and some other parents just really having concerns for safety in general. And we did get some of those questions answered by the district too, kind of walking us through their reasoning for snow days, for closing the district. So we do have some information and kind of a breakdown from them, as to what led them to keep the doors open today. And we're also hearing from a couple of parents who are sharing why they're a little bit upset by this decision and have some concerns for safety. So that's all coming up on News 10 at 6. We're going to hear a little bit from both sides, but really the issue here is talking about how schools decide to close for the day, what kind of factors cause them to make those choices, and hearing from some parents too about their priority is safety for their kids a lot of times. So they have some very valid questions to be answered on that front. So
Safety of their kids, the students, plus the drivers, other drivers, the community, because that could have very easily been a pole, knocked out some power, anything, another car. We saw the fire engine yesterday in Missouri hitting other cars because it was lighting. So I know that earlier this morning we had a couple of questions when Darren and I were on asking, can you ask why Lansing Schools decided to have Class Day? We did. We saw your questions and we are working on it. So anytime you're watching these live streams, you can always jump on, and if you have questions and we see them, we see them. And if it's something that we are doing a story on, or we could do a story on, we pass it right along to our news team. So
I actually connected with one of those viewers earlier and reached out just to, you don't have to get on camera and do an interview, but just to help pass along some information, some context. If there's questions that you have, it helps guide us in our storytelling as well, to say, hey, I would really like it if you could ask this question of the school district. So it really does help us over here, create a better, more informative story for you, knowing what people at home are really wanting to know and what the questions are. So that was great to be able to connect with them earlier and talk a little bit about their concerns, as a parent, kind of exchanging some text messages back and forth. So always, chime in when you have something to say, especially so early in the day. We're usually still digging into a story.
You guys aren't even here yet.
Yes. So it's really those types of questions as early as you can. It gives us time to get out there and get answers. So, and it's really, especially those side roads and back roads. That was a lot of the concern from the parents, saying main roads might be okay, but they are really wanting to, have those back roads and side roads taken into consideration too. So you'll hear both sides of that a little bit later, and hopefully some answers from the school district. on their decision-making process for staying open. So hopefully people get the answers that they're looking for coming up on News 10 at 6.
All right. Thank you very much, Riley. I'm actually going to check in with Tanaya Jordan now to see what she is working on, and you're going to get headed to some interviews?
Yes, actually, I'm headed out right now, so.
All right. Let's talk to Tanaya really quick.
Michigan State University saying today former football head coach Mel Tucker is banned from any future employment or affiliation with the university. I'm here on campus today speaking to students to get their reaction. I'll have that story coming up on News 10 at 6.
All right. We're also going to talk with Erin to see what she is working on.
Thanks, Crystal. Today I'm joining one of our local dive teams as they work to recover a dog that fell through the ice last week. I'll have what this effort entails on News 10 at 5:30. Back to you, Crystal.
I'm joined now by Deanna Giles. How are you today? I haven't seen you in a couple days.
I know, I've been off a little bit.
So what are you working on today for our newscast?
Yes, so I am looking at the pros and cons of energy drinks, essentially.
Oh, that's right.
We know our college students, we once were one, and, tired, long nights, exams, all of that stuff. But looking at kind of the impact, the short-term and long-term impacts of constant energy drinking.
Okay.
And so one of the things, obviously, I spoke to a few college students who say they feel like it's needed, with exams, and some of them have kids, and just making sure that they're able to stay on top of things. But they're also feeling those effects of either heart racing or just, not falling out, but when you're done drinking those energy drinks, you kind of just crash.
Right, it's like the sugar crash.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so one of the things, speaking to a dietitian, is their concern is a lot of the energy drinks have a supplemental label on it. And the thing with supplements is you can't really regulate them as much.
I was just going to say, isn't there regulations? That's probably the first question that comes to mind for a lot of people.
Exactly.
Regulations.
Exactly. So with energy drinks now, or not now, but labeled as supplements, it's kind of harder to regulate exactly how much caffeine is in them, how much sugar is in them. So there's all of these unknowns. So obviously the recommended thing is to not drink them, or at least limit your consumption of them. But yes, so I'll have all those details.
It's funny too, because at our age, we don't really know a world without energy drinks.
Right.
They've always kind of been there. Everybody else
on the go.
Yeah, they had coffee, they had tea. We've got that plus some, and you can get them anywhere. You can get them in a drive-thru. You can get them in a store. You can get them delivered to you. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of we don't really know how to not.
It's really accessible. Yeah.
I know coffee sometimes doesn't even work for me, and we've been working Sundays.
Yeah.
You see me on Sundays, and you're like, why are you here? Well, because the Lions are still playing. So
exactly.
I want to reach for one, but I have to really control myself and say, it's not going to be a long-term answer. So I just kind of back away a little bit.
Yeah. And one of the things she talked about was getting enough sleep, eating breakfast, and getting enough sleep I know is easier said than done with a lot of people. But I mean, hey, it's if you're not doing that, at least eating throughout the day, getting energy elsewhere instead of
All right.
Yeah,
well,
so
thank you.
I'll have that at 6 o'clock today.
6 o'clock?
Yes.
All right. Make sure you stay up. Don't drink an energy drink to stay up for it, though, but make sure that you tune in for that. We're also going to check in with Mars Anderson. I know that he was outside. He said that he was in the rain when
It was raining pretty hard out there.
Yeah, so we're going to check in with him and see what he is working on.
Hi, Crystal. Mars Anderson here outside of the new Rio Elections office, where I had the opportunity to speak with the county's clerk, of course, because primary season is upon us, with that New Hampshire primary kicking off today. And in a little over a month, we will have the Michigan primary. So I have what you need to know. You can check that out in our 90 minutes of news.
All right, thank you, Mars. Hopefully he is staying dry. We do want to remind you that News 10 will be carrying the State of the State address live on Wednesday. This is going to be the 2024 State of the State address from Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. It is her 6th State of the State address. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. That is tomorrow. We are going to have her remarks to a joint session of the state legislature. Where'd it go? And it can be seen on the Heroes and Icons channel, 10.3, so check your local listings. Also on WILX.com. on our Facebook and YouTube channels and the News 10 Plus streaming app. So pretty much anywhere that you're watching us right now, you will be able to see the State of the State address live tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Make sure that you tune in. Again, it is Heroes and Icons 10.3 and all of our streaming apps. Facebook Live, YouTube Live, if you have Roku, YouTube TV, Amazon, Apple TV, anything like that, we will have it for you there. And then we do want to look at what we have coming up on our over 90 minutes of news, in addition to what we had Riley and Deanna and all of our other reporters talking about. Here's what you can expect. David Andrews is in today for Taylor Gattoni, and he is going to speak with an expert on eye health, as many people experience dry eyes during this time of year. Justin Bradford and Dan Rockwell and the rest of our First Alert weather team were talking about that changing temperature, going from cold to wet to dry. So we're going to talk about how you can keep your eyes healthy in all of those times. Plus, at 5 o'clock, tech-savvy teens are falling for online scams at higher rates than senior citizens, and that is according to a new report from Social Catfish. In today's Watching Your Wallet, consumer investigator Rachel DePompa has some advice from experts on how to guard your teen against scammers. And at 5:30, Apple is working to protect personal data stored on your iPhone. A major security update is now available for download. We will tell you how and why you should get that update. And then at 6 p.m. on News 10 at 6, Albion Police, with help from the University of Olivet's Criminal Justice Program, are reopening a cold case from 1988. No one has been arrested in connection with this case, and police are hoping that reopening it could lead to answers for the victim's family. All of that, it's a lot. I'm out of breath with it. All of that is coming up a little bit later on our over 90 minutes of news. And like Justin was saying, it is kind of gloomy out there. We do want to remind you of our mental health series. As it's gloomy, a lot of times it's easily to get a little bit sad, a little bit depressed. It's hard when there's no sunshine. That seasonal affective disorder can sit in. It's also a hard time for a lot of people as we begin the new year to cope with some changes in their lives. So we want to remind you that we have our You Are Not Alone series. It's a series of stories of triumph and recovery from everything from depression and suicidal thoughts, anxiety, addiction, and more. You can scan the QR code for a list of resources available to anyone experiencing a mental health crisis. So whether it be for you or someone you love, make sure that you share that. Or you can always call or text 988 for help. And remember that you're not alone. Thank you guys so much. We're going to head back to the studio. We're going to get some more news going for you guys, and make sure you tune in on air, online, and on all of our streaming services for the latest news.